Option 1, PPA. So, can you guys give me some pros of doing a PPA?
No money down.
No money down. So no money out of pocket, you know, putting any upfront pocket money, nothing extra that they gotta put out, right? Okay, what else?
They don't have to install it. They don't have to do anything. We take care of every bit of it. So I don't know where that as far as the pro. No responsibility on their part.
Okay. Limited responsibility. You don't want to say no. They got limited responsibility.
Okay.
Because what responsibility do they have on all the options?
Right.
What do they got to do? What are they responsible for no matter what?
Cleaning.
Cleaning. Keep the leaves off, dirt off,
Yeah.
right? They're responsible for cleaning. Make sure the basic, simple maintenance, right? Okay, what else?
They only pay for what they use.
Pay for what produces. They only pay for what it produces, right? What else? By you guys answering, this is how your brain retains it. So if you speak it, that means you know it.
Well, the discount, of course, but you get that with all of it, right? The 30% down, or the 30% or 20%, it knocks off the bill. That's the same.
Yeah, pretty much a lot of these will do similar.
Different options when selling the house.
What do you mean?
They can buy it off after 5 years. They can
6 years?
prepay. And they can go with the house.
So they can buy out at 6. Easy transfer to new owner. Right? What else? Anthony?
Trying to think of a good one.
Just any. We'll get good ones as we go along. Anything, come on. Will not increase homeowners insurance, HI. It will not increase their own homeowners insurance, right?
Others will.
Yeah. Except for lease.
Right.
Will not increase their homeowners insurance. They won't have to worry about adding insurance to their home because they got $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 worth of equipment. Right? How about they're not accountable for repairs, fix, or maintenance? They don't have to worry about anything. Equipment, breakage, any failures or anything is fully covered and insured, right? What else? How about locked in rate and inflation? So they get to lock in their rate and know what their inflation's like, right?
And that's 2.9, correct?
Yep.
Escalator.
Escalator.
Inflation?
Yep. Inflation. I call it inflation instead of
Right.
escalator. But they'll know where they stand, right? They know now for the next, and that's long term. They get to lock in long term. Long term. Just like the utility companies do. So they get to lock that cost in for them. They know where they stand. They know how to budget now. They know what the future holds for them for the next 20 years in that home.
We'll be paying basically what they're paying now in 10 years, right?
Yeah, with the 2.9?
Yeah.
Yep.
That's
Take
huge.
at least 10 years or more, somewhere in that 10 to 12, 13 range, before they'll even get back to what they're paying today. How about attractiveness of their home?
For resale purposes?
Yeah, attractiveness. Their home has a solar system on it. It has a lower cost on it, lower rate. I don't want to say resale value, because technically on PPAs and leases, it doesn't technically raise the value necessarily, but it will raise attractiveness to a point because people go, well, wait a minute, this home has, even though it's a PPA, this home's buying its power at a cheaper rate than the neighbor is. And as time goes on, that rate's lower, right?
Mm-hmm.
Here's something you guys may not have known, and I didn't think about it either, but part of the you pay for what it makes. Does solar panels over time make less power?
A long time, yeah.
Each year they have a degradation rate, typically 0.6 to 0.8, somewhere in that range. Every year they lose a tenth of a percent or whatever it is, 0.7% of the power will decrease. By the end of 20 years, that's typically at least 1,000 to 1,800 kilowatts of power it's no longer making compared to year one. All panels.
And that would take it down just to make it easy, 100% down to what, 90% or 80?
80% production, right? And technically that 80% production on most panels is based on 25 years. So it's probably more like somewhere in the 85, 90 range. However, with a PPA, they're only paying for what it's producing. So as it produces less, what are they paying for?
Mm-hmm.
What it produces. Unlike a lease or a loan or anything else, as that especially with a lease, that payment that they're paying on a lease is locked in, and that's their payment even with a 2.9. It keeps going up. Even though the system's producing less power, they're still going to pay the same payment.
Do they get to store the credits?
No. What do you mean by store the credits?
Like in summer, produces a lot,
Well, it's with PG&E, it's put on a 12-month
and then in
cycle.
the winter,
It's
like in Massachusetts, they wouldn't even pay shit because they had so much.
Yep. See, the power that they're going to pay for each month, so that you understand too, Will, and I think you do now, it's what it produces monthly. In the summer, it's going to produce a lot more, which means their bill for the PPA will go up because that solar system's producing more. In the winter, it will go down, just like their PG&E. PG&E costs go way up because they're running AC, and in the wintertime, they're running less. See, that's okay because the system's going to do the same thing that they're used to with PG&E. They will pay more, but it's based on a 12 months. PG&E bills them based on 12 months. Their true-up anniversary date. So the idea of the PPA is they're producing all that power and it's supposed to even out so that the power that they paid for through the PPA will offset what they would have to owe PG&E.
Mm-hmm.
It's all going to fluctuate the same. So it's easy. This is easy process because they're already used to it, are they not?
Mm-hmm.
They're used to paying in the summer a higher bill. But the difference is in the summer, the system produces more, but it still will be less than what they would normally pay for their bill because they're saving 2, 3, 4 cents per kilowatt. 20%, 30%. Remember what we had with that customer? It's $100 in his pocket in the prime times, right? Or more.
Yeah.
So that's a great advantage of the PPA, right? And this is a 20-year program. A lot of the programs out there, leases are 25, right? Long term. A lot of loans are 20-year, 15, 20-year. But this is based on a 20-year, and very few of the PPAs are buyout in 6. They can also take advantage of the tax credit. Why?
Just not paying for it.
I didn't think they could. How is that?
I said, why? How can they take advantage of it? It's a trick question. Most people can't use the tax credit. I hate to say that, but most people out there already have write-offs, child tax deductions, or don't pay enough in actual taxes to the federal government to even get anything back relative to the amount of tax credit they have to offset. Most people don't, and they don't realize that. And we found over time, I've seen since we've had this tax credit for a few years now, I've seen such a high percentage of people that actually can't use the tax credit. It's a very hard thing to do. But using the PPA, there's a way that they are able to use the tax credit.
Because of the panels?
No, we as a company that are buying the system or owning the system, we get to use the tax credit, but in return, what do we get to do with that money and that difference?
Drop there.
We get to drop the initial cost of the system down
Gotcha.
because that money helps us be able to do that. So that helps them get that lower PPA. So even though they can't use it, we use it in conjunction so that we can lower our costs. So in theory, now everyone gets to use it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how they get to use the 30% federal tax credit, right?
People love that too.
Yep. What else do you guys think would be an advantage of the PPA?
Gosh, that's way more than I would have thought of. That's a ton.
I guess all in all, just not that that's a hassle, but less hassle. I mean,
It is.
Easy process.
Yep.
yeah, like
Yep. that is quite a bit of stuff you can talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Hell yeah.
Makes the PPA great. All right, let's move over to the lease. If anything pops in our head on the PPA, we'll go back to it. What do you guys think are some good pros of the lease?
No fluctuation in payments.
Levelized payments. It's got a lot that the PPA does too. So it's going to have the availability to use the tax credit. Same idea that I just discussed. No maintenance necessary except for cleaning the panels, right? It's going to have the same. Doesn't increase the homeowner's insurance. Easy transfer.
Still 2.9,
2.9 escalator, so they know their inflation rate.
20 years.
25 year, so they'll know their inflation rate, their locked in cost, right? Can't buy it out in 6 years. They don't. It's not pay for what you produce. They have to pay.
That's that right.
There is a difference between these two. There's a guaranteed power production. So what that means is if that system on a lease is designed to produce 11,000, because that's what it's supposed to produce, if it doesn't produce 11,000, there's a guarantee behind that. But if there's any extra power that comes from the system during that process, let's say it produces 11,900, it's not like the homeowner gets the credit for the extra 900. That actually gets accounted and rolled back into the credit system that the leasing company will take advantage of for next year in case the system underproduces.
What does that mean, guaranteed? So if the system only produces 9,000, it's supposed to produce 11,000. Does
The leasing company has to pay us an already confirmed amount of money back for the lost power to the homeowner.
Oh, so they'll get a check back for that other 2,000.
Yeah, but the problem is there's a set rate on that, and it's definitely not what the cost of PG&E is.
I see.
You get what I'm saying?
Yep.
So they get money back, but it won't be as much as what they
had that,
paid.
But for that option, so if they didn't produce enough, that X amount of dollars would go back to that.
For what?
What you're just saying.
Right here, yeah.
Yeah.
If it doesn't produce enough,
Yeah,
because it's a
they had that
levelized
out
payment.
there with that, so I'm familiar with that. What you
Okay.
mean.
All they got to do is keep it clean. They don't have to raise their homeowner's insurance. They're not responsible for the equipment. It's pretty much similar to the PPA.
Isn't there a buyout after 5 years?
No.
too?
I don't with the Sunlander. I don't think there was there?
With Lease? Not Lease.
I don't because we only have Sunlander for the lease, and
Oh,
we have
yeah, okay.
Sonova, but Sonova sucks, and Sonova definitely doesn't have a buyout.
Oh yeah.
So they pay a levelized payment for 25 years. And
That
that's
increases 2.9 every year.
Gotcha.
So it's a levelized payment. We average it out what the system would be, so their payment could be 200. Now, does it save them money? Yes, it saves them money similar to this. But see with that guaranteed power production, that guaranteed power that they guarantee goes down every year that they guarantee, even though their payment stays the same.
I don't see a big bonus in that lease. I don't see the benefit.
Just a levelized payment.
That's it.
That's it. So it's pretty much similar, easy process. We handle everything, limited responsibility, no money out of their pocket. See, it has all the same advantages, right? The only difference is it's a levelized payment. Same 2.9, same everything, guys. They pay for what it produces. You have to pay for what it's guaranteed to produce.
So basically, the only change is the guaranteed production and the levelized payment.
Yeah. But this does decrease in power. So does that.
Gotcha.
They will pay PG&E for the decrease in power. Here, they will pay PG&E and the leasing company, because as it decreases in power, they have to pay more PG&E. It's not much, only 0.6 a year, but over time, they're still paying the same payment.
Right.
You get that? The payment keeps going up. It's not like it's going to go down because it's producing less power.
Right.
Over here, the payment goes down because it's PPA, pay for what it produces.
So each option but cash, there's two bills, right?
There's two bills for
Okay,
everybody.
for all of them. All right.
Yep. So there will be two bills, and the homeowner needs to understand that, because they think, oh, I'm getting rid of one bill and I'm only having this bill. They need to understand that they're still connected to the grid. The purpose of solar is it's just putting power back into the grid or into the house being consumed, which means they're using less power through PG&E. And then at the end of 1 year, PG&E takes how much did the solar give them and how much did they use. And then based on that, there could be a potential of a bill owed extra because they use more power, or there could be a potential that there isn't because they made enough or they had more than what they needed. They will pay their connection fee every month though.
And at the end of the year, the true up, they'll never get a check back from PG&E, right?
Not through the way we design them, taking advantage.
PG&E will show the like renewable energy credits they use each month, though, right?
Yeah, they send them a statement. So they get a statement each month. This is where you make sure the homeowner understands you get a statement, not a bill. In that statement, it'll say, this is a statement. It'll say where their standing tally is. You know, you owe $140. Well, that's $140 so far that they owe by the time they end at 12 months. But see, then come 2 months from now, they could have big summer months where all of a sudden they're negative $140.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to make sure the homeowner doesn't get confused. They do have to pay their $10, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you got to make sure they don't get confused. I had a customer got confused and kept paying both the PG&E and the solar for almost a whole year. And I'm like, you know how much money you just gave PG&E? And they're not going to cut you a check back.
Mm-hmm.
They just hang on to it and give you credit somewhere else.
Right.
So
It's a good way to get the bills though, because a lot of people, oh, I don't want 2 bills. Like, well, one shows you the credits you've earned. You'll get that. You'll get a bill from us. Those combined still cheaper than what you're paying.
absolutely. And it's a statement you get monthly. You don't have to pay that statement. Now, here's the thing you guys need to make sure you do say in any of these programs. We design it and we have a predicted amount of production or what they should expect their amount. It's predicted. It's not guaranteed. We have no idea when it comes to weather and everything else. But there's an automated computer systems that put calculations together and determine this should be where you stand. Now, I've been telling customers, if you guys ever look or get a chance to start paying attention when you get their PG&E printout for like the last 5 years or 8 years, everyone has a plus minus of anywhere from 600 to 900 kilowatts. And what I mean is year 2014 could be 900 more kilowatts than 2015. 2016 could be 500 less than 2015. It fluctuates every year with people. Something happens, something changes, the weather gets hotter, they run the AC longer, or it's a milder summer, or it's a really cold winter. There's things that fluctuate, so I call it 600 to 900. So I want homeowners to know that in the event the system was designed for 1 year. 1 year is all we can design it for, but you will have a fluctuation. I can pretty much guarantee. I have yet to see any bill from any customer that they use the exact same amount of kilowatts every single year. Does not happen. So I say it's on a scale, 900 plus, 900 minus. Somewhere in there is where it's going to fall with every homeowner. So I say this to them. I want them to understand that, because what that means is if it's 900 plus, will they have money owed to PG&E after 12 months? If they use 900 more
than what it was designed for, yes. Yes.
Because the system was designed for 2015,
Mm-hmm.
right? And the system in that year was 10,376.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, minus. You get my meaning?
Yep.
Every year fluctuates. They need to know that. Prepare them for that. Expectations. So you could have a couple $100 due to PG&E at the end of the year at your 12-month true-up. Then secondary, you guys need to pay attention to the systems when they're designed for you. There's that sheet you'll see that shows what their amount of production should write off their usage, and it'll say an amount there. You got to be able to look at that amount. And reason why is because that system that may only put, even with the PPA, even with the lease, all of these programs may show that it's only producing or going to offset their bill 96%, or 92 or 88. Because one, we couldn't fit enough panels. 2, it wasn't the exact right azimuth, so we couldn't maintain all the power. Like his, I told him he's going to have $400 some owed, roughly, without this taking into equation this. But based on just 2015, if he uses the exact same power again for one more 12 months that he used during the 12 months we built, he already is going to owe $400 because we couldn't build enough. Predicted of owing at least $400, plus if he has a plus or minus. So you got to pay attention to that. You can't tell the people they're going to have a zero bill or not owe PG&E nothing. Just because we're able to build a 100% system compared to what they used does not mean that they may not owe something because of the plus or minus.
Okay.
And a lot of times we can't cover 100% of their bill. So what it shows is you do the reverse math. On his, $400 owed to PG&E for a year, divide that by 12. And then that's how much he would owe PG&E theoretically on a monthly basis. So you tell the customer, prepare them. Instead of getting wally-whapped, like I did, I should have prepared myself. When I did mine, I got wally-whapped with owing $700 the day after Christmas, $763. If I'd have been smart, 763, I didn't know what it was going to be as my first year. I can make excuses all I want, but 763 divided by 12 is how much, right? I could have sent the utility company $20 a month, $35 a month. And with that statement, just went ahead and sent it so that after 12 months, do I owe them anything?
Right.
You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So that's where you, as a person, have to say, look, I don't want you to end up with a $400, $500, $600, $700 true up because the system's only going to cover 88% of your production. You're still going to have a $400 owed to PG&E or $600 to PG&E plus your fluctuation.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to take a risk that you use less. That if you use less, it could make up that 400, the plus or minus, right? But in the event it doesn't, so what I'd rather see you do is at least pay $25 a month or whatever it is. You do the math. I recommend to you just send them $20 a month, $30 a month to PG&E anyway. That way, when the 12 months is up, that gets credited on there, and maybe you actually end up with actual real zero bill. Rather than just out of the blue, you got to come up with $500.
Mm-hmm.
So this is being transparent with them and have them understand, guys. So you need to pay attention. There's one of the biggest mistakes that I see sales reps make is they think that it's a 100% system. And they tell the customer, you won't have a PG&E bill, you won't owe anything to PG&E except for the $10, and this will cover all your power. That's never guaranteed. You can never guarantee that. Even if we produce a 100% system, you cannot guarantee that because of the plus or minus and weather patterns and everything else. So they need to be prepared. Other companies, other reps, that's one of the major complaints from the consumers is they feel misled because they were told by reps that they wouldn't have a bill to PG&E. Every single customer I've ever seen owes PG&E something at the end of the year. Something, whether it's $30, $5, $20, $100, 200, 300. It's almost nearly impossible because of the fluctuations in weather and everything else not to owe something. So yes, they have two bills. They have to understand that. In a sense, it's like they have two bills. A bill once a year and then a bill monthly. But the big point is they're saving $600 or $900 or whatever it is you'll see. They're saving that much money. So it's not really a hassle because it's auto pay for the PPA for them. Make sense, guys?
Mm-hmm.
You guys get that. It's important that you speak that language. I need to know that you guys tell the truth out there and prepare these customers. Because by telling that guy the truth, what did he want to do now? I said you would owe about $400.
Yep.
What did he want to do?
He was prepared for it, and that was when he was talking about his credit. No, he was on board right away.
Yeah, but now what does he want to do? Because he doesn't want to have the 400.
He wants to put more panels on.
He wants to put on his awning so he can put more west facing to try to see if that can help offset it. Remember?
Yep.
He's going to cut a big old oak tree that he didn't want to cut
Yep.
because the value was there for him. He doesn't want to even owe the 400. But because I